Hello everyone, and welcome to the next episode of my Sunnyland 2D tutorial. Sorry, I'm messing with my mic because I keep forgetting where I leave it at. So, in today's video we are going to start off by creating a simple UI. So we're going to start off on UI. I'm going to be doing the health and collectibles today. So first things first, like any empty space in the hierarchy, I'm going to right click, go to UI, and you can either click on the canvas yourself, or for what I'm going to do is under legacy, then click on text. Then this should add the canvas and event system automatically. Now, the reason why we're doing the regular text, which I don't know why they changed it to call legacy, it used to be just text. We're going to be using basic text, not Text Mesh Pro. If you want to see me use Text Mesh Pro and get more into it, please leave a comment below and I'll do that. But anyways, for here, instead of editing it, first I'm going to click over here on the right, hold shift, and line it up here. Even though it did not line up there. Oh, you have to click Alt Shift, and it should move to the corner there. Then I'm going to call it Health. Actually, no, before you do anything, let's leave it blank for now. And here we're just going to make 4 copies. This one will be my health text. And this one will be the cherry, if I can spell the cherry text. Then health num text. Then cherry num text. So I'm gonna do health here. Then cherries here. Yeah, I only have the basic Arial font, so I'm just gonna do that. Then color, I'm just gonna do black. Which, I don't know why I didn't do that first. I'm actually gonna do that first. Okay, I have the color set up. Leave it blank, then duplicate it all. See, there's text. Then cherry num text. Okay, yeah, I'm just gonna move these two. Then I'm gonna move this one like right over here. Yes, something I'm gonna do is move them like about here. Does not have to be at the very center, which I do need to fix the text size, which actually I'm gonna open up my original test just so I can just copy that over. You guys can copy it if you want. It should be to look exactly like mine, since it is, well, since you, it should look exactly like mine if you use free aspect. So what I did here was 30, -15, and 20, 50, and my size was 35 bold. And perfect size here. Then cherries. My case was gems, so this is gonna be a little bit different. So 30, -70, 35 bold. Actually, no, this one was 25. Made it a tiny bit smaller. And the size was 80, 30. For this one, I'm gonna make it 100, 120, 110, and do 115. Just have a little bit of space there. And this spot here, this one will remain blank. It'd be 155, -15. Yeah, I didn't copy them down, but if I want to look the exact same. Then 50. This will remain empty. Cherries. This one will remain 0. And make sure to bold everything as well. I keep misclicking it. Okay, I'm just gonna click here. Remember to bold that and set it to 35. See, did I? Yep, I did mess. I missed a step. My bad. So everything. I'm gonna see if I can hide everything. I can make it bold and make it centered. That's all I did. And for these ones, yeah, they're all facing to the right. So this one would be 25. And this is. And this is 115. 115, negative 70, 80, 30. So it looks like I left these out like an extra 5 about. Yeah, that looks fine. That spacing looks. It should be fine. I'm just going to test it at 145. Yeah, it's like an extra 5 from where the thing lines up. So it should look something like this. Of the health, you can leave it at 5 just to see how it looks. But you can leave it blank. We're gonna change it anyways, but yeah, I'll leave it 5. I can close the other thing because I no longer need it. Okay, and all of these should be set into the left. And by that means, if I like change this, they should always stay at the left. And I'm just doing free aspect. We should probably do like the full HD. That may be the best. It depends on your game. For this tutorial, I'm just using free aspect because that's what I like doing. Okay, so after this, let's save what we have so far. I'm just gonna close this. And the next thing I'm gonna do is create a collectible, which in this case will be a cherry. So first things, we are going to go to the sprites, then items, go to cherry, then just delete these two. Then I did not change these to 16 by 16 pixels per unit. Do that. This would be set to the entity layer. I'm just going to call it cherry. Now we are going to make a new animation and just call it cherry, because the cherry is only going to have one. Well, we'll add a second animation later on, actually. So just drag that there. It did not drag. And my mouse is giving me problems. Okay, so after getting the animation in, we are going to just highlight all of these. Drag them in here if my mouse was not giving me issues. Drag them all in here. And my mouse. Of course, the mouse has to give issues. Drag them all to 5 seconds apart, then re-add. Come on, mouse. Okay, then re-add. Mouse keeps double clicking. Re-add the second image here. When we press play, see decently smooth animation. Except some things up. Yeah, I don't know what happened with it the first time for me, but now it looks good. So if it looks wonky and you're in just re-add it, then it should load properly. Looks like Joe skipping some animations. That's super weird. Yeah, now that works. And after that, let's move this back down here. Yeah, after that, we can add a box collider. Add a box collider 2D. And if you want, you can hide the background and all that just so you can see where you're moving the box. And I'd say move it just around here. This should be a good enough for shrinking it. And you don't think we need to do anything else with this after that? Let me just look real quick. Yeah, no. So we can enable our background and you just move this wherever you want. I'm just gonna leave it here. Before anything else, let's create a new folder and call it prefabs. Let's open this up. Basically, what a prefab is, it's like any game object you can make duplicates of. So like when you click, instead of like controlling Control D a whole bunch to get multiple cherries, you could simply drag the cherry into this folder. Controller is not so valid. Should be fine. And we can just drag and drop cherries. You can just drag and drop from the asset window, and they should have everything we have from the cherry animation. Though the only thing I'd say that we have to do is that I suggest making like a empty game object to use as a folder and store all the cherries in here. But another thing is, if you ever want to make any changes, you need to do it to this prefab here, or you can do it here, and there should be like an override you can click or an apply. But I'm just gonna click play and see if anything's messing up. No, nothing's messing up. We forgot something. Oh yeah, now we're meshing here. So if we don't want the thing to mesh in front of one another, we can just set this to like -1. And we have on our box side, we need to enable is trigger. After that, open up your player controller, which I already have opened. And the first thing we are going to do is come back up here. And I'm going to close this. And we are going to add some new serialized fields. I'm going to add exactly 4 of them. I made 5 for accident. Also, for the is jumping, we can actually take away the serialized field for that. We don't really need to see this anymore. I only left it there for testing reasons. So I'm just going to turn that off now. So I think you can make a private integer, call it cherries, and just have that set it to 0 by default. Another integer called health. 5 by default. I need a space here. Before we actually do this, we need to use using Unity engine.ui. So if you want to use like any of the UI systems, codes, anything involving UI inside our script, we need to reference this right here. Because if we don't, it won't recognize what we are doing. So like this, Unity engine dot, then everything you see back here, all of this, and more. Like you can use like Pro, I think. I don't remember how to use TextMesh Pro, but yeah, just have to use the UI. You just got to use this for certain Unity applications or certain devices, like a UI. Then and TextMesh Pro has one. I just don't remember off the top of my head. I think it's using Unity engine.tmt Pro. Oh wait, we don't have TextMesh Pro installed, so it's not going to show up, I think. TextMesh Pro won't fully set up on here unless we load something using TextMesh Pro, like going to the UI, then clicking on anything that says TextMesh Pro here. Okay, next thing I'm going to do is do a private text called, I'm going to call it health text. You can call it however you want. That I'm just doing it here. I have 2 of these, one for that, one for gems, and one for cherries. Then after that, in our awake function, we are going to add health text dot text just so it knows we're referencing the text part of the component of whatever this is going to be. We're going to reference the specific, let me see, right? This specific text box right here. That's what we're referencing. I'm going to do health dot toString. Yes. This will basically say, like, if we have, watch, I'm just going to leave this empty for now. So like in the game, you can see it says nothing, but as soon as we click play, it'll, we did not, we have to go back to the player actually, then reference these two. So health text, and then cherry text. And now when you click play, you can see it loaded twice and closed. Okay. Now when you click play, this updates to 5. That's why it's saying it doesn't matter if we have it at 0, 5, or blank. It'll update with our function there. So make sure to always have something to update your health in the beginning and set it to what number it should be. I think it's a good thing. Some people may not do it, but in my opinion, I believe it's something we should use. Now, we use .toString. It's because our health function is considered an integer. And we can, in our .text, we can only show up strings. That is why we can only use string variables in these text boxes. Even though we can put numbers in there, they're not considered integers inside the text boxes, they're considered strings. So if we want to turn our integer for health here into a string, we'd have to do health.toString. Now if you're wondering, why don't we just make a health string then? Well, then that would be even more work, turning that string to an integer when you want to add and subtract health. So it's just easier to leave it as an integer and just do .toString for anything updating the health, rather than having it be everywhere. So when we add and subtract health, we have to change that instead, because we'll most likely do that a lot more often than we are updating our health. Okay, I'm just going to close animation state to make some room here. Then we are going to do a private void on trigger enter 2D, collider 2D collision. These two are entered automatically when you press tab here. Then we'll do if I skipped something. And over here we need to create a tag for a cherry. I'm just going to click on the prefab. I'm going to add this. I'm going to call it collectible. And we're going to get ahead. Make one called enemy. This will be for later on. But anyways, go back to the prefab, go back here and give it our collectible tag. Then we can go back to our script and put if collision dot tag equals. Remember that is tags are strings, so I'm gonna put collectible here. So the collision here is the collision here. We could name this other, or you can name it anything, but I'm leaving this as basic because this isn't. Basically says that we are colliding with something and we are detecting what that collision is. So that's why we use specific names like collision or other, because it's not detecting if we're colliding with something, it's detecting if something's colliding with us, basically. That's what I think so anyways. So after that, we're going to do destroy collision dot game object. But this is saying to destroy whatever we collide with and not destroy our game object. That's why we use collision.aimObject, and if we do this.gameObject, this will destroy our player. But that's not what we're doing. Then we would do cherries plus equal 1. Or you could do cherries equals cherries plus 1. Which, this is what you want to do for Python, but I think this works as well in Python, but yeah, I'm getting to a different program, but for here we'll just do plus equals 1. Just the same thing, it just adds 1 to whatever our score is currently. Then we are going to do cherry text dot text equals gems cherries to string. Sorry, I think it's something from the other one where now I was using gems, not cherries. So This is where our gem cherries will update whenever it loads. I'm just going to save that, and I'm going to create an empty, call it collectibles, and I'm going to drag cherry in here, and I'm just going to place like a few of them around for now. Place one there, place one there, and place another there. So when I click play, we should go and update. And it's updating, it's counting down, they're getting deleted here, causing less frame lag. It's like, if you have a bigger map, place as many cherries as you want. I'm just going to move these around a bit more. So, with this, we can have a working collectible counter, but we currently cannot test the health yet. Well, we could make a code to do that, but I'm not going to do that. We're just going to make our first enemy instead. So, we're first going to create our first enemy to test our health function, as well as creating this just to get started on enemies. So first things first, we're going to go to sprites, enemies, and we are going to do the frog, wherever that is. I'm blind, there it is. Go to idle. Quickly gonna go turn these to 16 by 16 pixels per unit. And delete these two. Then just drag and drop the frog here. Drag and drop the frog here, not in the main thing. Drag it over here, change it to entity sorting layer. Then boom, got a frog. Now, first things first is that we are going to add a box collider 2D and a rigid body 2D. I'm not going to mess with the mass. You can if you want to use auto mass, but I'm not going to for the frog. So like make it, so when doing the box collider for the frog, I'd say make it fair. Like do something like this. Just do something like this. It should be good. And make sure to go to the constraints in the rigid body, disable Z rotation. So this would be the basic of frog, except name it frog. Then we are going to create empty waypoint left, then waypoint right. Remember, you can do Control D to duplicate. Then I'm just gonna leave these, give them an icon so we can see where they're at. And I'm just gonna leave them here. Give it an icon. And these names here only show up in the Unity editor. They would not show up when you press play. So they will just remain visible. Now these are temporary, but they will be used later to determine the distance a frog should move through. So, before I actually do animations, I want to code in something just to see you guys to push the frog back, as well as, you know, setting up our health, because I don't want to mess with keys. So it doesn't walk into the frog and it should destroy our health. So first things first, we are going to go back into our game over here. I'm going to add it here, add a CRS field, private integer, call it hurtful, and set it to 10. Then we're going to go down here and create another private void on trigger, not on trigger, on collision into 2D. And instead of collision, we would do other. Basically the same thing as on trigger entity, except we are detecting a collision, not a trigger event, is what this was. So I'm back. So on triggers, when you have something enabled as a trigger, you can't physically collide with it, you just walk through it. So this triggers will be used to stuff like fake walls or when you like touch certain objects for missions or whatnot in some games. I don't really know the best to explain it. Oh, and like collisions would be like walls and whatnot. Like physical walls you like stop and you can't go past or anything. Okay, so in here, this will be changed later when we get further into the frog, but this is just gonna be like this for now. What I'm gonna do is if other dot game object dot transform dot position dot x is greater than transform dot position dot x. So this will be the frogs or whatever other enemy we have, their position or x position. This is our position. So it's detecting if theirs is greater than ours, we are going to do rb dot velocity equals new vector 2 negative brute force rb dot velocity dot y and health minus equal 1. Then we're going to update our health text. Text equals health dot to string. First things first. I think I skipped something. Just need to check. Should be fine. And here I'm just going to set this to state equals state dot hurt. I haven't tested it like this before without having a different statement in here, but we'll see if it messes up or not. It should not, I don't think so. Then we're going to do an else. Just going to copy this here and positive hurt force. So basically what this does, if we collide with the enemy, we will be pushed back either to the left or right, depending on the enemy's position compared to our position. Now it's just randomly doing it. Look, we're losing health. That's where random attackers are randomly going through now. So I'm just gonna censor that for now. Yeah, either way, once we get into this here, we will be pushed back to the left or to the right. Now, next thing we're going to do is actually set up our frog animations now. So I'm just going to create an animation called frog idle. And I'm just going to drag it to our frog like this, because this also works. Just going to do that. Yeah, this one's going to be a little bit different just because I think it looks nicer like this. But at first, we're just going to drag all these and set it up like usual to 15. Then we're going to add frame 1 again at 22 seconds and 25 seconds. In my opinion, this looks nicer. It looks a tiny bit nicer, in my opinion. Because you have a longer period of the frog staying in idle, then like a short idle, then going back here. It's just look nicer in the wrong one, in my opinion, anyways. Let's see. Now for the go back here and go to the idle. You can see run frames. Basically, they're going to be the same thing as the what I misclicked. I want to go back to the idle and do not. I don't think we need to loot. Do not enable loot. Actually, we will enable loot time. But here we're just going to create 2 empty animations. called jump and fall. And I think, yeah, I can just, or not, and drag them in the long way. Please tell me do not. If any arm once, ignore what you just saw. Okay. Now, we actually need to be here, that's why we're here already. Now we can add two booleans. Yeah, two booleans called jumping and falling. I'm not sure if it's still recording. Yep, still recording. I'm actually going to change the names to frog jump and frog fall. Just delete these here. Drag them like this, because I guess this actually works. Frog jump, frog fall. Just going to make them look like a triangle, just because I can. And make transitions to every single one of them. So over here, we are going to have this like the other ones in beforehand. Set this all to 0, 0, 0, 0 out everything. This looks a lot nicer than having all of the weighting. So for this one, we can add two of these. Jumping is true, falling is false. Jumping is false, and falling is true, and then this one both would be false. Save that. Sorry if I went by too fast. Just remember, when I'm going to frog eye to frog jumping, it's true, false. Frog jump to frog fall, false, true. And frog fall to frog idle, false, false. Now, let's go back to frog and actually give him the animation. So frog jump. Be this one, frog fall. Be this one, make sure to set them 16 to 16 pixels per unit. And click play. You're falling and jumping, and then idle. A tiny bit faster. Okay, once this is done, go back to our frog and just make a new script called frog controller. New script, create an ad. Don't know why that opened up. Now open up the frog controller. I'm going to move this to our scripts folder. Should not open up. There we go. Okay, so first things first, go down here, and I'm going to add a bunch of serialized fields. I think that should be enough. So the first two are going to be floats called the left cap and the right cap. These will basically determine when our frog should move to the left or move to the right. This one would be another, actually the first four floats. And this would be jump length. Have that set to 10, actually no, 3F. And then jump height equals to 4F. This is what I like basically. Let's test at 10, 15 to see what you think, but I'm leaving it 3 and 4. Then we're going to have a layer mask called ground, which we already set up. And I added too many serialized fields. Of course I did. The last ones are regular privates. which I'm going to separate, even though I don't have to. So the first private is going to be our Collider 2D. We're going to call it Col. The next one is our Rigid Body 2D, called RB. And the last one is our Animator, called Anim. Then we're going to add a private Boolean, which is just bool in Unity, called facing left, and set it equal to true. So in the sort function, like as we've been doing before, just add all of our references. Call equals get component, collider 2D, RB equals get component, rigid body 2D, then anim equals get, not minus, equals get component, animator. And that is all for our start function. Now I'm just set it equal to a private void starts and a private void update. For these ones, for this one, you don't have to have the enemies be at awake. That is your choice this time. For players, I suggest using awake, but for enemies, it can either be awake or start. It should not matter. Honestly, I haven't noticed a difference. So then, before we go to update, we are going to make a new function called private void move. Just move, don't do what the other one showed, because that's something Unity does. And we are going to create an if statement and an if statement and an else statement. So inside this if statement, we are going to put if facing left. I'm going to do if transform.version.x is greater than left cap. I misspelt it. I forgot the capital C. And do and inside this one, yeah, there's going to be a lot of if statements. If transform.localScale.x is not equal 1, and transform.localScale equals new vector, a vector 3 this time, which would do x, y, and z instead of 1, 1, 1. Now, I don't know if you need to essentially have the left. Yeah, what I don't do parents.position.x. I don't know if this is entirely necessary here, but I'm just going to leave it just to see. You may just need this. You guys can test that out if you want, see if it works, but I'm just leave it here just to see if it works or not. And we're going to do if pole.is touching layers around. This is how our frog's going to move. He's going to move by jumping, not by walking. I'm going to do equals new vector. I misspelled vector. New vector 2 negative jump length and jump height this time. So this will have a frog jump to the left, and the jump length is like how far he'll go. Then we have here anim.set bool jumping through. Whenever you do a set bool, you have to use string values for whatever the name is for that boolean. Then you have to have true or false here. Then else we have facing left equals false. Yeah, I know. Okay, I just noticed I made a mistake. This else is meant for here. Meant for the meant for the left cap. Then in this else function we have if transform dot position dot x is less than the right cap. We are basically going to do a lot of the same stuff here. So we can just copy it. But it says to be a -1, and set this to -1. This would be positive jump height. Then we are going to do an else facing the left equals true. So now for the update, you can add an if statement, if am.get bool jumping. So get bool just says whatever the active boolean is. And set bool changes the boolean. And do am.set bool. Alright, or no, I missed a step. Do if velocity y is greater, so less than 0.1, and I'm dot set bool falling. I got to make sure it's capitalized. True. Jumping false. So this would change from jumping to idle. Then do another one called if is touching layers around, and anim dot get bool falling, anim dot set bool falling, got the capital F again, falling to false. And then after that, let us save our script. I'm going to go back here. I'm wondering, why aren't we putting our move function in the update? Well, we're doing things differently this time. Let's go to the frog, go to our idle, and go to the very last frame. So this button right here is how we add an event marker. And inside this event marker, we're going to have a move function. What this basically does is every time a frog idles, it will run the code inside our move function. Basically what it's doing. Yeah, it just run the code inside our move function. Now, when we click play, we forgot something, and why is it still playing the herd animation? I think I skipped a step. Let me look back at my script real quick. No, I did not. Okay, so for the frog, he won't move until he add this, so I'm just going to do here be 28. 8 point left would be 51. I'm not going to bother with the decimals. Now when I click play, we are being moved back still. So not moving. Aha, they're not set ground. And something got messed up with the frog. Of course, something got messed up with the frog. Something milk. Yep, yep, something broke. Yeah, I don't know what broke. Yeah, let's go to the frog animations. Just make sure all this is working right. Disable loot time. See if that actually helps. Nope. I have no idea what is going on now. I think these need to be on idle. I mean, on loop. Let me check. Let me check. That's skipping the fall. That's because this was not set to double false. There it goes. Yep, our frogs are moving, not breaking. You can see his jump's like a little short on this, but hey, it works. Probably gotta move that left cap a little, his left cap a little bit more to like 30. I actually don't think these need to be on loop time anymore. Let's just double test that real quick. That could have been something I missed. Yeah, no, I do not see. Oh, Frogworks. Now we'll get something that should fix this issue here. Not this issue. The issue here with why the players' collisions keep messing up. So it's doing it on any collision, it seems, because it's not being a specific collision. But we should do this by going here, by doing... First, I'm going to highlight all this. Highlight all this. Do Control X to cut. And do a if other.gameObject.tag was enemy. I think that's what I missed in the first file. We have to do that. I accidentally opened up my editor. So frog, make sure to tag the frog as enemy. Then we can do if state equals equal state dot following. You destroy this dot, not this dot game object, other dot game object. Then we can do the did it in the wrong area again. The else goes here. Then we can paste that. Then that can be there. This should be it then. And we click play. We got that, so we're not getting pushed back. We push back, walk here, we lose our health, we push back, walk here, push back, and jump on him, he gets destroyed. But now, I want us to, when we jump on a frog, I want us to get lifted up a bit. So, we can easily do that by simulating jump. So, I could play here. Just go right here. Right here. Oop. Get a little bit of a jump. Get like a double jump when you land on an enemy. Which we will be using later on in the series, which is why I had us do it. I mean, not the double jump, the getting a jump boost from jumping off an enemy. So, that'll be it for today's video, guys. But while I wait to make scripts for the next video, I want you guys to try making the opossum. I want you guys trying to make the awesome enemy. He only has one animation. Just want you guys to make the animation, code it, set up box, and I will show you guys in the beginning of the next video, but please try this on your own. A lot of the script will be the same as the frog. So if you understood how to do the frog, you should definitely be able to do the opossum. So once again, the codes are very similar. By the way, you can actually delete these now. We don't no longer need them. Either way, if you want to find the coordinates, you could just move the frog to the left. That's far right. You want to go now, it's far left. So yeah, I'm actually going to delete these now because I'm not going to use them anymore. I'm just going to use the entity itself to determine where its left and right cap should be. Well, yeah, no, yeah. This is what I want. That's why I want you guys to do this. Just figure out on your own how to do the opossum. Set it up so the player. Well, actually, no. Just remember, you don't need to code anything extra on the player as long as you use the enemy tag. Everything else should be fine. Just code the opossum, make your own opossum controller, and do that. And I'll show you next episode. If you don't want to do it, if you want to wait for me, I'll show you in the next video how to make the opossum. But please try on your own, and I'll see you guys in the next episode.